Once upon a time in a thick jungle, there lived a tigress with her 3 cubs. The tigress was very worried about her cubs. One day she called them and said, "My dear cubs, you are all grown up now. It's time for you to learn hunting." Her cubs were scared, and one of them said, "But Mom, we don't want to eat meat." "Oh, my little cubs," the tigress said, "a tiger can't live without eating meat. If you don't learn to hunt, you will become weak, and one day you might die of hunger." After that, the tigress went into the forest to hunt. She left some food for her cubs, but it wasn't their favorite food, so they were not happy. "We want to eat delicious meat," said one of the cubs. "Then you must go hunting," said the tigress. "But first, let me tell you a story about a foolish deer. One day I saw a silly young deer. He was jumping around and making a lot of noise. I hid behind some bush and pounced on him, but he managed to escape. Do you know why?" "Why?" asked the cubs. "Because he was a very silly and foolish deer. If he had run away as fast as he could, I wouldn't have been able to catch him. But no, he kept jumping and making lots of noise. And so I caught him very easily." The cubs listened to their mother and thought for a while. Finally, one of the cubs asked, "Mom, will that deer be so foolish?" "Of course not," said the tigress. "He was just very young and didn't know anything about the forest. But now that he is older, he is very clever. If you want to catch him, you have to be smarter than him. You must move like the wind and be as quiet as a mouse. Only then can you catch your prey." The cubs understood what their mother was trying to tell them. They knew they had to try harder. The next day, the tigress went hunting and left her cubs to practice what she had told them. The cubs followed a young deer for a long time. They moved quietly and tried to look as small as possible. Suddenly, the deer stopped and looked around. He probably sensed that the cubs were following him. One of the cubs was very scared and wanted to run away. But another cub held his tail and whispered, "Don't move, just stay still." The deer came closer and closer, and the cubs kept very still. When the deer was almost upon them, the cubs jumped out and surrounded him. The poor deer was very scared. He tried to run, but there were too many tigers. The cubs took turns biting and scratching the deer. Finally, the brave deer stopped moving. The cubs had learned to work together, and they had caught their first prey. They were very happy. The tigress was very proud of her cubs. She had taught them well. From that day on, the cubs were never hungry again. They were strong and brave tigers, and they lived happily ever after. Thank you for watching this video. See you tomorrow.